Hello, today we're going to talk about finding the surface area and volume of hexagonal prisms. So just a reminder for our surface area, the lateral surface area is the perimeter times the height, and the total surface area is the perimeter times the height plus twice the area of the base. And then to find our volume, the volume equals the area of the base times the height. So let's go ahead and dive into these. Here I have a hexagonal prism, has a side length of 5 and a height of 10. I'm asked to find the surface area, which means I need to find the perimeter, the height, and the area of the base. Well, the perimeter is easy. There are 6 sides at 5 each, so that makes that 30. The height is given to us, so that's just 10. But the area of the base, this is a more complicated problem. But because this is a regular polygon, I can use the formula that the area of the base is going to equal 1/2 of the perimeter times the apothem. Well, I already know my perimeter, but I need to find my apothem. Remember, the apothem is that from the center of the shape down to the edge, and so my apothem is basically just how far is it from the edge of my shape to the center of my shape. Luckily for hexagons, this creates a 30, 60, 90 triangle, where this is the short side, the hypotenuse is 2x, and then the long side is x square root of 3. So if I can figure out what the short piece is, I just need to multiply it by the square root of 3 to get my height. Well, because the side length is 5, I cut it in half, and so my short piece is 2.5, meaning that my apothem is 2.5 on the square root of 3. And now, knowing this, I can run through this formula. 1/2 of 30 times 2.5 on the square root of 3 is going to give me 37.5 on the square root of 3. Well, that's a lot of information. Let's go ahead and use that to find my lateral surface area and my total surface area. My lateral surface area, that's going to be easy. That's just the perimeter of 30 times the height of 10. And so that's just going to be 300 square units. And the total surface area is still going to be the 30 times the 10 plus twice the area of the base, which we said was 37.5 square root of 3. Well, we know that that's going to give us 300 plus 37.5 times 2 gives me 75 on the square root of 3 square units. This is the exact surface area of our shape. If you wanted to get an approximate surface area, you could simply type this into a calculator and it would round it for you. But for our purposes, we're going to go ahead and leave this as exact. Alright, let's tackle our next problem. Here we're finding the volume, and volume only requires us to know the base and the height. Well, the area of the base is the same thing that we had to do over here. 1/2 of the perimeter times the apothem. So that means that I still need to know my perimeter and I still need to know my apothem. Well, the perimeter, 4 times 6, gives us 24. And then we have our special right triangle, same thing. 1/2 of 4 makes this 2, so that makes the apothem 2 on the square root of 3. The height of my prism, remember that's the distance from one base to the next, that would be 8. And now for the area of the base, that would be 1/2 of the perimeter 24 times the apothem 2 square root of 3, and that's going to give us 24 on the square root of 3. Now that we found all this information, I have the area of my base, I have my height, and we just do 24 on the square root of 3 times 8. 24 times 8 would give us 192 on the square root of 3. And so that would be the volume of this shape. Let's go ahead and work through a couple more examples. If we come down here to number 3, we're talking about a hexagonal prism that has a side length of 5 and a height of 10. Hold on, we've already done this one. It's up here. That means that my perimeter, height, area of the base, and apothem are all the same thing. So I can just copy these numbers down. My perimeter was 30. My height was 10. The area of the base was 37.5 on the square root of 3. And the apothem, not that we need it for this problem anymore, is 2.5 on the square root of 3. Everything's the same as it was above. But this time, instead of finding surface area, I'm just finding volume, which means at this point I just need the area of the base and the height. So volume is going to equal 37.5 on the square root of 3 times 10, which is simple. That's just going to be 375 on the square root of 3. And this would be in cubic inches. Because they gave us units this time, we need to go ahead and use the units in our answer, cubic inches. And so now for our last problem. Here we have a regular hexagonal prism. Our side length is 10, and our height is 16. And we want to find the surface area. And again, I need lots of things for these hexagonal prisms. I need the perimeter, the height, the apothem, and the area of my base. Well, the perimeter, well, it's 10 times 6, that would just be 60. The height, they told us that was 16. The apothem, well, that's going to be based on our special right triangle. Half of 10 makes this 5, and so this would be 5 on the square root of 3. The area of my base, that comes from 1/2 of 60 times 5 on the square root of 3, which would give me 150 on the square root of 3. Now, to find my lateral surface area, that's just the perimeter times the height. That one is very easy. 60 times 16 gives us 960. They gave us inches, so we're going to call that inches squared. We're talking about area, not volume, and so these are square inches. And now for our total surface area, we're going to take the same number, 960, and add twice the area of the base, 2 times 150 square root of 3. And so we get 960 plus 300 square root of 3. Again, this is the exact total surface area, and so we're going to leave it in exact terms. If you needed to figure out what this was approximately, you could go ahead and just type this into a calculator, and it would give you a number for you to be able to work with.
Thank you and have a good day.